in the room, and in the future. I'm Dan.
I'm also Dan.
That's other Dan. We are the Dans of Graffiti Park. This has been a highly requested class of the last couple months since we started utilizing this technology. A majority of the class, Dan is going to be talking about tips and tricks that we've learned over a few projects working with this, specifically MetaQuest VR goggles with the Contour app. And then towards the end, we can talk about some other fun tech stuff like projectors and AI and get a little philosophical about what all that means and how to use it and how not to use it in our art world. So today we're going to talk about what is VR, the hardware you need to get started, the software you need to get started, and then once you have those things, getting started, and then some tips and tricks, and then tech and art. Squidward, great episode, future. So pretty straightforward. Virtual reality defined, the computer-generated simulation of a three-dimensional image or environment that can be interacted with in a seemingly real or physical way by a person using special equipment. VR is really started kind of popping off in 2015, 2016, but it couldn't go in a consumer market because goggles cost $5,000, $10,000 and they were big and clunky. And not only that, there wasn't the software and developer component behind it to support an industry of just normal folks buying it. And then just like any technology, after a couple years of rapid improvement, now you can go into Costco and get one of these bad boys. Could be Sam's Club, no one's hating, no one's hating. But today we're gonna talk about the utility of VR in the art world.
So there's a couple of different things on the market right now that you can do this. We'll be mainly talking about the very first one, the MetaQuest 3, which is this top one. Apparently it's a 3S. The bottom one is going to be your Sony PlayStation VR. I haven't played around a lot with those ones. And then the Apple Vision Pro is definitely the most expensive out of the bunch. That one's at $3,000, and apparently the abilities of that are pretty spectacular, but I haven't seen any videos come out for this specific utilization of it yet. I will say we saw somebody at EDC with one of these ones on, in the middle of the crowd, and I thought that was hilarious. I was like, oh, all right. So specifically with the MetaQuest 3, there's a lot of different ways that you can do it. Through the Contour app is going to be what you have to download to the actual specific headset on the MetaQuest 3. That's the one that we're talking about specifically. There's another one called Sketch AR or something like that, Sketch VR, that apparently works the same, has different utilizations for it, but I haven't used it much just because the barrier to entry seemed a little more even than this one was. And this one isn't super specific. There's 3 different ways that I've seen that you can kind of do this. What I've found is the easiest is just going through FilePort. There's also another option, another program or way through, it's called SideQuest, that essentially works the same way as FilePort does. It's just to connect the two, your MetaQuest goggles to your Apple products, just because they don't like to sync very well, very easily. FilePort is easy. It's just a quick pull and play, tag and pull. And then the other way that I've saw that I thought was pretty interesting the other day was they just put it up on the Google Drive, and then when you connect the headset to Wi-Fi or so that you have internet for it, you can just go to Google Drive on it and download it into the same folders. So I thought that was a cool way around it, but again, then you have to be hooked up to the Wi-Fi on the headset as well as on your laptop. You'll see what I mean, I'll pull it up here, but it goes in the DCIM folder. That one is just so that it goes in the folder of where all of the other pictures are located so that you can quickly tap through them on on a little arrow button for it. You'll also need Procreate, Adobe, or some sort of program to create the digital assets for them. So for our sake and for our purposes, we use an iPad with Procreate. You'll want to make sure that they're transparent background PNGs for them. We'll get into that in a minute. You'll need a computer, obviously, to add files into the headset. The way around that obviously is on your phone. You can access Google Drive and then download them that way. I think it's just a pretty cool way, as long as you have Wi-Fi, a USB-C charger that connects your headset to your computer, and then just another option or a cool little software that you can use with this one. It's called King Sprayer Graffiti. That was the very first option, and why we originally had bought these ones is because it gives you the option of spraying a wall or using a spray paint can the same way using either of the toggle button. It's a good way to practice can control when you don't want to go out, when you don't want to waste money on paint, if you don't want to wear a respirator, those kinds of things. It's just another good way to practice and use this tool for something else.
We're going to be using the MetaQuest 3 today to do some lettering. Put some lettering on the wall, get the outline, and then have it so it's ready to paint like this over here. We are in a hallway and there's no way to use a projector here. The easiest, fastest way is to use the Contour app, measure up the spaces so everything's uniform, and then I'll be able to put the letters right on there, size them to the size I need, hold them in place, and trace them on there. It's a lot less labor intensive than cutting stencils, because then you still have to worry about spacing. Everything is done for you, just like a projector, but on your face.
So getting started, transparent background PNGs is going to be your best option for this. They also say when you go to scale them out, like when you're getting your file sizes, make sure that you have it in a square aspect ratio. It just helps for like when you're scaling to make it the most perfect for it, just because the box that they give you when you start to position it is a perfect square. And so everything that you work from that way, it just makes things easier. So Cody, I know here in the class, has used it multiple times on splitting things up, like large files into different pieces. There's different methods for that, and why they also tell you the square one is then because you can like build them out based on a grid system. So if you ever wanted to get, you know, to massive scale, more than say 20 feet, 25 feet at a time, there's ways to do that as well. For all intents and purposes, a transparent background PNG is going to be your best bet. You'll want kind of like the smallest file size that you can make it without compressing it, without doing anything to it, just because there's very limited storage headset space. There's some of them that are 512 gigs, which sounds like a lot, but then it's like the Contour app is say like 30, 45 gigs or something like that. And so you'll just want to keep all of your file sizes pretty small for what you're going to do for them. And I would only keep things specific for that project on them. After you're done using them, after you go through another one, it's easiest to delete all the files and then load new ones on there. And I've found that it has the best like way of transferring them all down. That way you don't have to worry about them in the future. Starting out, you know, you'll have to figure out what kind of MetaQuest you have. The only reason for that is when you go to position them, your remote is going to be a little bit different on that. You'll position it, the artwork where you want, in the middle or the center of the wall, and then scaling it, you can go as big or as small as you need it, and you'll be able to adjust the artwork afterwards. So what I mean by that is when you put this bad boy on, so same thing, you'll go into artwork, you'll import image, this is in the DCIM folder, and so you can see there's like a couple of different options. These are some of the stock images that it presents you with, so that you can toy around with some of those ones if you have any intention of. So for this one, we'll go the Graffiti Park logo. Hit next on that one. This is what I mean. You'll have to decide whether you have a Quest 2 or a Quest 3. We'll go Quest 3 because same thing, it uses the side of the pin instead. You hold down the piece on the front, it's like an A pin, and it'll set it up right up on the wall, so that when I'm going to paint something, this is kind of your main menu, your scale. But so that when you go to paint something, you can scale this based, you know, bigger, smaller, that kind of thing. But then you have all of your images all in that artwork folder, and you can position them here. Dan always likes to play with me because I'll be so frustrated with these things. I'm like, I'm gonna freak out, like staring at a wall off into space. Drawing in more, once you get a position, then you can move it based on the controllers up and down. You can toggle your opacity back and forth. And then it's one of those things, it's kind of like when you have a projector up, like once you set it, you want to put it off to draw mode, and then that way you don't have to worry about any of the extra things. So that way it's not worried like about a kicked cord. You'll want to make sure that your headset is charged up and ready to go before you go out and start any of this. On the front, you'll go to position. But so on the scale, if you can use both of them, you can use this one to make it bigger on this side. You can go through, you can adjust it here. So your left controller is all up in your rotation to make the image move. The depth on this right side, Cody showed us earlier on our last project that it works really well to push your image back. What I mean by that is like when that image is up, the depth of it, you can push it into the wall or back, so that it's not like you see the image and then your hand behind the opacity of the image, but so that you can see it on the wall as you're tracing onto it, if that makes sense. So again, this is very rudimentary. Like there's 100 different ways that you can use this thing, and it seems like it gets a little bit endless, like when you can start to think about what you can create in that time, and especially coming from like the way that you're able to sit down, make a drawing or a sketch, or get the the outlines for a picture or something like that and transfer that over, and then be able to transfer that into real life in a matter of minutes, I think is pretty wild. It's next level. So
one of the things Cody was saying, like when you use it outside, do not take it off on top of your head and face it towards the sun. The lenses are super sensitive. So it's when you take it off and you have it like this and it's looking. So that's a pro tip, so you don't mess those up.
these ones, like we got ours at Costco. We bought a Quest 2 back in the day. Then we went and returned it. They gave us back the full money. And then we bought this one at Costco. It's like a 3S or something now. It's apparently top of the line, newest one. There's different attachments that you can get to it, like a battery pack, different extra storage units. But these ones, base models, are at Costco right now for $350. That's why Dan made the joke earlier.
So we talked about like how to do it, but we didn't talk about like the value. Like I think the value is like inherent. Like if you're looking at this as an artist and you've been fiddling with like projectors or had been in a situation, and Cody said that on that little video, like in that narrow hallway where you're not able to get your projector in a way that like, you know, makes it look to scale, right? And you're dealing with the keystone and all that fun stuff. On top of that, like power boxes, you know, you have to wait till the sun goes down if you want to use a projector. Not necessarily with this, just don't point it at the sun. So there's like, aside from how to use it, I think there's a whole lot of utility to it. But I also think that that lends the question, and I'd be happy to hear the thoughts of the artists in the room, of like, is that just the next stepping stone of like a tool to use? Or is there opportunity there for it to snowball? And for like someone, I think the like easiest thing would be like, oh, I can go buy that at Costco. I can have AI design art, and then I can put the AI designed art in the Contour app, and then I can go paint murals. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
I mean, there's a lot of people out there doing that right now. Where, I mean, a lot of the videos that you're seeing of people putting out of the MetaQuest and using Contour and stuff, like a lot of them are people that are turning it into a business by using AI artwork, putting it on the wall, and loosely being able to reproduce it.
Sure.
I think that being able to have the skills to reproduce the artwork that you're putting on the wall is essential.
Yeah.
No matter how you source the artwork. If you can't paint it once you have your lines on the wall, then any amount of tools and stuff are only going to do you so much good. Yeah. You know.
It's not the same, but I was kind of likening it to like, you know, the very first artists that were using like the very first things they were using to put on, you know, ink to paper, or like graphite to paper, or even like bison blood on a wall. Like, not to get, you know, but like the evolution of technology in art, right? Obviously very different than like VR and what we're looking at now. I just think it's like in 2025, the natural progression, it's just like how you utilize it. And then also for companies like Graffiti Park or any other curation company, or for people seeking art, doing your due diligence to make sure you're hiring people and using it for like the right ways, and not just like someone who can like market themselves well and then do a logo that's like not scaled correctly. Because there's a whole lot of other pieces to it that I think, like just knowing how to use that, or you knowing how to use AI, like you were saying, how to apply the paint, like what the whole conversation we were talking about earlier about what if there's a solvent on the, or what if there's a solution on the wall that I don't know how to navigate? What types of paint do I use? Like, what are the hacks? And like all of that comes with draftsmanship and like practice and actually being a muralist or an artist or graffiti artist or however you identify. So I think that's super important. Like if you're watching this, and just my friends in the room, like I think you'd be silly not to use the tools that offer so much utility. So you can be really great at technology, but if you don't know what you're doing, or if you're really good at murals and you don't know what you're doing, it could be just as much as a hindrance as it can help until you like practice and get it down.
That concludes the quick conversation that we were going to have about
Thank you for coming to our tech forum.